Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, I am absolutely pumped for today's topic because we're doing a total forensic dive into one of tech's biggest mysteries. We're looking at a platform that honestly invented modern digital culture, literally had the world in the palm of its hand, and then just completely collapsed. But hey, we're not just looking backward for a history lesson. No way. We're tearing this whole thing apart to pull out the exact actionable lessons that you, as product managers building platform products in 2026, desperately need to know. If you're building anything with user-generated value or AI, you absolutely cannot afford to repeat this mistake. Let's get into it.
So 200 million. I mean, just let that number sit there for a second. Back in 2013, Twitter acquired this little startup called Vine, and they essentially invented the short-form looping video format. It was totally revolutionary. A strict 6-second constraint that literally forced this immense creativity out of people, and it worked like a charm. By 2015, they had exploded to 200 million active users. They were the undisputed kings of a category they had built completely from scratch.
But then, fast forward a bit. By 2021, TikTok hits this massive new milestone, 1 billion monthly active users. And, here's the real kicker. They did it using basically the exact same core format that Vine built way back in 2013, just that short looping video mechanic. It's the exact same fundamental product structure.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this right here is the billion-dollar question. Why on earth did the platform that literally invented short-form video die this quiet death, while a platform that practically copied its format went on to take over the world? In this explainer, we're going to treat Vine's failure not as some sort of inevitable tragedy, or a case of just being too early. Nope, we're treating this as a highly solvable mystery. Honestly, it was a failure of strategy.
Right, so to understand the murder, we kind of have to understand the mindset first. Back then, the industry was operating under what we call the distribution moat assumption. You see, the conventional wisdom in PM and VC circles at the time was that user scale and network effects were just naturally defensible assets. The mistaken belief was that because Vine had 200 million users and category leadership, it was just going to automatically sustain itself. People looked at Facebook, they looked at YouTube, and they thought, well, we have the distribution, so boom, we have the moat.
What's really interesting about this is how it exposes the fatal flaw in that assumption. The old belief was that audiences were directly loyal to the platform itself. But the reality? It was an asymmetric network effect. The audience went to the creators, and the creators brought them to the platform. I mean, think about it. People didn't open Vine because they loved the app's interface. They opened it because they wanted to see what Logan Paul or Shawn Mendes had posted that day. The entire value chain was completely dependent on the creators.
And the crazy thing is, that structural weakness was actually known internally. In an October 2016 Twitter thread, Vine's co-founder Dom Hoffman said the shutdown was, quote, "not for me a complicated story. High expectations, not enough people, and not the right support." Now that's a very diplomatic tweet, but as we're about to uncover, not the right support was really hinting at these massive, fatal structural and economic failures deep within the company.
Section 1. The forensic evidence. The $1.2 million meeting. Let's look at what actually went down.
So check this out. In 2015, about 18 of Vine's absolute top creators, people who collectively controlled the attention of hundreds of millions of followers, walked into a room with Twitter executives, and they essentially issued an ultimatum. They demanded exactly this amount, $1.2 million per creator, just to keep making their primary content on the Vine app.
And according to Casey Newton's incredible reporting for The Verge and Bloomberg back in October 2016, these Vine stars weren't just looking for a handout. They were actually proposing real revenue sharing and brand deal infrastructure. They were asking for a true economic relationship. And what did Twitter do? They flat out declined. They said no. And the fallout was immediate. Within months, the creators, who were, again, the literal supply side of Vine's value, packed their bags and shifted their main output over to YouTube and Instagram.
And of course, the competitors definitely weren't just waiting around while Vine was stalling. Almost right after Vine launched, Facebook's David Marcus announced Instagram's super aggressive 15-second video countermeasure in June 2013. And even more importantly, between 2014 and 2015, Instagram rapidly expanded their brand partnerships and shopping tools. They were actively building economic infrastructure. Meanwhile, from 2013 to 2016, Vine stubbornly kept its 6-second limit and added absolutely zero creator monetization. Zero. They just refused to adopt to the economic reality of their own ecosystem.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. The forensic evidence, TikTok's economic formula.
So, when ByteDance launched TikTok internationally in 2017, they had clearly been taking notes on Vine's fatal error.
In July 2020, they announced this massive $200 million initial commitment for the TikTok Creator Fund. You see, TikTok didn't just copy the short video format. They fundamentally changed the business model behind it. They immediately built in native live gifting, brand partnership tools, and really aggressive financial recruitment for top creators. They actually paid the people who made the app worth using.
So the crucial point is this, and this is backed up by Sensor Tower data from 2021 and Kevin Roos's reporting in the New York Times. The format was identical. The real difference between Vine dying at 200 million users and TikTok skyrocketing past 1 billion was the economic relationship with the people whose creative output made the app worth opening in the first place. Format is not a moat. Economics are.
Which brings us to Section 3, the forensic evidence. Twitter's internal dysfunction.
Now, as if totally refusing to pay your creators wasn't bad enough, Casey Newton's 2016 reporting highlighted another fatal factor. Between 2015 and 2016, Twitter's leadership was basically a revolving door. You've got Dick Costolo resigning in June 2015, Jack Dorsey coming back as interim, then getting confirmed as permanent CEO in October. Amidst all this constant executive chaos, Vine's product roadmap was just repeatedly pushed to the back burner. And ultimately, the big Vine shutdown in October 2016 was quietly bundled right into a broader 9% Twitter workforce reduction. It was just completely starved of attention, leadership, and funding.
Okay, which brings us to the absolute most important question of this entire explainer. What does this decade-old story actually mean for you? Specifically, what does this mean for PMs building the next generation of AI platforms right now in 2026?
Let's hit Section 4, the modern PM parallel, contributor economics.
We're making the pivot right here, right now. Because the lessons of 2016 aren't just ancient history. They are a direct, glaring mirror reflecting the exact challenges we are dealing with in the AI ecosystems we're building today. If there's one ultimate reframe you take away from this explainer, please make it this. Category creation is a temporary advantage. Contributor economics is your actual moat. As an AI PM, if you don't secure the supply side of your value generation, meaning the people we're actually training, prompting, and guiding your systems, you are building a house on sand. Seriously, you will be Vine.
And this brilliantly illustrates how history is repeating itself exactly. Back in 2016 with Vine, the creators generating the value were video influencers, and the moat they desperately needed was revenue sharing and brand deals. Today, in 2026 for AI platforms, your creators are your AI power users and data labelers, and your moat is capability capture and workflow portability. For enterprise AI, your creators are those internal prompt engineers, and your moat is retaining that massive institutional memory. It is literally the exact same dynamic, just a totally different type of creator.
So, let's get really tactical for a second. Here is your 2026 contributor retention architecture. If you're running an AI-powered platform, you absolutely must financially or systematically retain the power users who are generating your prompt signals. If you're building contributor data tools, you have to secure the ecosystem that's providing your labels and feedback. And if you're building internal enterprise tooling, you've got to retain those AI-fluent PMs holding all the institutional memory. Because let me warn you right now, if a competitor comes along and offers those people better economics or better tools, your AI data quality and your product's value will migrate instantly, just like Vine's top 18 creators did.
I want to leave you with this final, absolutely critical thought to help evaluate your own roadmaps. Ask yourself right now, are you building the economics alongside your AI format, or are you just planning to add them later? Because as the case study of Vine proved a decade ago, if you wait for later, well, later might never arrive. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep building smart, secure your moats, and we'll see you in the next one.